So today on our agenda, we are going to talk about how you can use the CAN bus data on VLON platform. And we decided that this topic will be useful for you because you're already using ELD and HUS solution. And that means that your tracking devices are already configured to send the CAN bus data. So the goal of that presentation is to make sure that you're getting as many benefits as possible from using CAN bus data on the VLON platform itself. And first, we'll talk about how you can color your sensors and how you can visualize which sensor values are normal, which one are abnormal. Better visualize it with different colors. Then we'll talk about the setup of reports that are related to CAN bus data. And in the end, we'll talk about the setup of notifications that are related to CAN bus data. Now, what the CAN bus data is, it's usually related to such sensors as ignition, RPM, engine speed, right, engine coolant, and also such data as fuel. It all depends on what type of vehicle you use, and some vehicles can send more data, some vehicles can send less data. Still, let's look what we'll be covering during the first topic. Color your sensors. Here, first, I will show you how you can color your sensors in the Census State icon.
Can I just briefly jump in with a quick comment? So, you know, just a little bit of kind of explanation of, you know, why we're jumping into CAN bus data here after David and Eddie described, you know, covered some of the aspects of the ELD application. So you guys may or may not, so, you know, we'll assume that majority of you are already using the ELD application from Assured Tracking or plan to use it. So as part of that, obviously the hardware setup requires to be able to be tapped into the CAN bus through either the FMS port, you know, it's either J1939 or J1708, or in some cases various OBD protocols that you're pulling the data that's required for ELD, right, such as odometer, VIN number, engine state, etc. So you already have, or as part of using the ELD application, must have access to the CAN bus data using the hardware that you you know, would have installed in the vehicles. So even if you not utilizing that CAN bus data in VLON, you know, but by, you know, the setup in the vehicles that you have, you already have access to it. So in this part that Anna is presenting, we're going to show you how to take advantage of that data so that you sort of maximize the value of that solution that you have installed in the customer vehicles already. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you, Sergey. Okay, so let's look on how you can better visualize the sensors. And everything that I'm showing you during this presentation will be also shown separately on the VLON platform itself. So these are just a brief screenshot overview of what we'll be showing on the platform. So first we'll talk about how you can visualize the sensor in the Census State icon. Hope you can see my cursor on the screen, and this is a green square. And the green square shows that the battery of all of these 3 demo units is fine, and the value is 13.9 voltages. If the value was below 12 voltage, this square would turn red color. And you can always sort out the units by clicking on this column, and you'll see which units have a very low battery, and that means that they are disconnected, that something is wrong with them. So another way to use the colored sensors is to show them in additional menu or in the unit tooltip. And this screenshot shows the additional menu that you can open by clicking on the unit icon. As you can see, the green values are the values that are normal, and the orange one are the one that are considered to be moderate abnormal. If they were indeed abnormal, they would be shown in red color. And all the settings are very flexible. You are the one who decides which value corresponds to which color. So we'll go through the settings later in more detail. And then we'll also talk about setup of reports, and we'll talk separately about the reports for one unit. And here's an example of fuel usage report, which shows those units that report the lowest average fuel consumption on the top of the list, and the one that are performing really well with the highest fuel consumption on the bottom of the list. Another example of report is the report for unit group. And here again, we're looking at this CAN bus data specifically on engine ignition status that allows us to define the idling, and what is more important is the movement productivity, is the percentage of time that vehicle was actually moving out of all the time that the ignition was on. So 76% of time only the demo 1 unit was moving. This report can clarify which units have a lower performance and the highest idling. And then we'll talk about the setup of notifications, and specifically we'll pay attention to a sensor value type of notification, idling, and fuel filling. The sensor value type of notification will be the most popular because we're talking about certain ranges of temperature or engine speed, or even some other sensors that are reported by the vehicle, and in each case we will be using the sensor value. So we'll talk still about each type of notification into detail, and it is time to open the account. So this is our demo account, and first let's get back to the topic that allows us to make sure that one of the sensors, the sensor of your choice, is visible in the Census State icon. Before we go, I'll show you how exactly you can activate that setting. Let me briefly show you the messages that are reported by the tracking devices. So here are the data messages, for example, for demo. Let me see. Let's look at demo 3 unit for previous 5 minutes. And why we are looking at the raw data? Because exactly here we can see those parameters that the tracking device reports to our server. This is the data that we can use to set up the sensors. And here, as you can see, we can use IGN parameter that stands for ignition, odometer parameter that shows us the current odometer value and in kilometers, but later we can convert it to miles. The temperature is also reported, but this is an engine cooled temperature that is coming in that type of parameter. Okay, so this is a CAN bus data coming, and RPM is ENG speed, and we're also getting fuel consumption and fuel level, which is very important, fuel level data in that parameter. Fuel level equals 53. Now, since the device is configured to send us this CAN bus data, we open the settings, we go to the sensors, and of course here we already prepared all the sensors for you, and we can see that we're getting pretty much a lot of data here. We're getting ignition, odometer, fuel level, coolant temperature. Then we can also present the fuel level in percentage, RPM or engine speed, right? Different events that are coming in reason code parameter, and vehicle battery. So vehicle battery is the one sensor that we decide to use for the Census State icon. Maybe that's not the sensor that gives you the most value. Maybe you decide that what is really important for you to see is not the vehicle battery that very rarely gets low. That happens only when something is wrong with this wired connection of the tracking device to the vehicle. That happens very rarely, right? So maybe what you want to use is the fuel level in percentage. And here, the most important setting to make your sensors colorful is the intervals and color setting. And let me show you how you can set up the sensor with these colors. You need first to click on the scale that is black by default. You click anywhere on the scale and you see this menu opens. And here you need to add an interval. And the first interval I'll add will be from 0 to 15. And it will be red, because that means that the fuel level is very low, right? From 0% to 15%. Then the next one, I click again on the scale somewhere on the right side from the 15 value. And I add my second interval from 15 to 30, and I change the color to orange. Click OK. And then I click one more time, and I decide that any value greater than 30% is normal value. There is a sufficient fuel. As you can see, I didn't have to put 100%. I really don't have to do that, but if you want to do that, feel free to do it. There is no mistake. Now, when I did it, I click OK, and I click OK to save it. Now, the system memorized that you made a change in that sensor. And the next thing you can do is to go to its settings, go to the advanced option, and scroll down a little bit where it says the section usage of sensor colors. Here, there is an option that is called motion state signs. Motion state sign or monitoring panel or sensor state icon. That's where you want to see your fuel level left, because fuel level left, that's the name of that sensor that reports in percentage. So you need to click OK, and we get back to the monitoring panel. We look at demo 3 unit, and we see that now this green square shows us 53%. It's still green as others, but 2 others are showing vehicle battery. So what you can do, you can export the setting of this unit to demo 1 and demo 2 unit, and then every other tracking device on your list will be showing the same fuel level left in the Census State. Due to lack of time, we will not be doing it now, but if you're interested to learn more about import-export, I will be glad to see you on the webinar 7th of February, which will be dedicated to import and export feature. Now, what I did, I decided to demonstrate you the additional menu of demo 1 unit. Here we see that the sensor values are shown in additional menu, and they're also highlighted in different colors that correspond to the values. So why we see these colors? First reason why we see these colors is because in the settings of that unit, inside of the settings of specific sensors that are colored right now, we added interval and colors settings. And here I decide which value should be colored in orange and which one should be colored in red. If you actually believe that any value till 1600 is normal, then you change the color to green. You click OK, you click OK, and now you see how this color immediately changed to green. Here is the trick. you can activate the interval and colors, and you will still not be able to see the colored value in additional menu or in the unit tooltip. You see, when I hover my mouse over the unit, I see the tooltip with the same colored values. So why you may not be able to see these colors? Because your user settings are not set up as they need to be set up. So let me do it a little bit slower. Top right corner, we'll open user settings. And then first thing that I'd like to show you is that you definitely need to activate the sensor values in the units tooltip and in the work list. So this is also called the work list. The whole panel on the left side is called the work list. The specific place is called additional menu. And the tooltip, it appears when you hover your mouse on the demo one or on any other unit. So you click these buttons, they were already clicked to activate the sensor values visibility. And then you scroll down a little bit to the unit visualization section, and the very last settings on the list is called multicolor sensors in the units tooltip. You click on it and you decide to apply sensor value only. So we're talking about multicolor sensors, and we want the value only to be highlighted in the corresponding color. Let's try another option that says apply to sensor name and value. And by the way, by default, it will be disabled. So you will need to activate it for sure. If you like this option, you need to activate it. Then you click OK, and you see that the whole name and value is highlighted to corresponding color. Thank you for your attention about the first topic. And it's time to switch to the next topic regarding the reports. The most popular reports that are related to the CAN bus data is, of course, not the trips and parking. It's, for example, the engine hours report. And to demonstrate it to you, let me generate the data for the last 3 days, for example. So here, all the data is grouped by day. We see when each engine hours interval starts, when it ends, and what was the duration of this engine hours interval. Now, 2 hours, 2 minutes is the duration of the first interval. Out of this 2 hours and 2 minutes, there was 1 minute 48 seconds of idling. This idling may not happen even during the parking. It may happen on the traffic light, and it shows pretty high productivity here. It says that 98.5% of time the vehicle was moving. Also, this idling may occur because there was a lot of traffic. So it's not just idling on the parking, then that's important to keep in mind. Now, no worries about that. We have a separate report that is related to idlings during the parking. For example, you see engine hours interval number 2. This idling is 1 hour 8 minutes, and that means that it's definitely related to the idling during the parking. It says a 62.4% of productivity. Oh, look at the last interval. It's 36 minutes of idling, and there is no movement at all. That's also related to the idling during the parking. Now, if you go to the other report, idling over 5 minutes, you see that part of idling that happened during the parking and was longer than 5 minutes. Again, we see the duration. So the highest duration was 25th of January. And here is 51 minutes, 11 minutes, 17 minutes, and so on. So it's a winter season, and we believe the drivers really need to turn on the engine during their rest time to stay warm in the cabin. Now, very good reports related to the CAN bus data is a fuel usage report. And if we look at, for example, unit number 3 for the last 3 days, oops, this is exactly the unit that is not set up. And this is exactly the unit that I want to use to show you how we can activate the fuel consumption settings. So demo 2 unit, it shows you their average fuel consumption, and we see that during some days the fuel consumption was extremely high. It was 33 miles per gallon, and during some others it was pretty normal, 26 miles per gallon. This is also the duration of the trip, and how much fuel was consumed, the initial fuel level, final fuel level. Separately, what we can see is their fuel fillings. That's how much fuel was filled, and we can also see where exactly the fuel filling occurred. You can see it on the map and in the report. Okay. Now let's get back to demo unit 3, and as you notice, no fuel. Why there is no fuel? There is a fuel level sensor, right? We go to the sensors and we see here it is, and it's absolutely the same fuel level sensor, and it shows us the fuel tank capacity, which is 22 gallons. Allows us to convert the percentage of the fuel level left. This is originally the CAN bus data that is reported by the device, but in order to calculate the fuel consumption on platform, we need to convert the percentage to the gallons, and we are doing it very nicely. There's no problem with it. The problem is that on the fuel consumption tab, I switch to the fuel consumption tab, we need to tell the system how the fuel level should be calculated. I mean, the fuel consumption should be calculated, and should be calculated based on fuel level sensors. So we need to activate this part, right? And then we click OK, and we generate the data for the last 3 days, and we see here's our fuel consumption. Looks good, right? So please keep it in mind, and I hope you'll be using fuel usage reports more now. Plus, I didn't show you the chart very quickly. The chart is showing us all this fuel level, fuel fillings events, and how the fuel level was growing and staying stable during the parkings. And of course, the fuel reduction is during the movement is noticeable. So this is how the chart works. Now, very quick view on the fleet summary by days. So this is the combination of multiple tables, and again, we are looking on those type of tables that are not showing us just the last location of each vehicle, but for example, showing us the movement productivity, and here we can compare which unit is idling less than others. The demo 3 is idling less, right? It has the highest productivity. Oh, the duration of idling is 2 hours 30 minutes only. And we can see that demo 1 is idling more than others, even so the duration is less than demo 2, but in percentage, we see that this is the unit that is idling more than others. The same information is in idling over 5 minutes. Here we see that judging by number of idlings, demo 2 has the highest, but judging by the duration, demo 1 has the largest amount of time in idling during the parking. And the same information is in the fuel usage, so we can see which unit productivity is better. Feel free to request this report templates or sensor templates. The report templates should fit to any tracking device that you use. The Census settings will fit to GenX 6 unit. Okay, and also a few words about the notification. I know I'm running out of time. I'll be as quick as possible. And here we go. The fuel filling, right? The fuel filling notification will show us when exactly the fuel filling occurs. We give it the sensor mask, I don't need to type the whole name of the sensor, just the part of it. And then we decide how to get the notification, and that's it. Very, very easy to set up. I didn't change any other default setting. Engine coolant, when your customer feels like concerned about very high engine coolant temperature or very high RPM, these are the notifications to use. But I specifically want to show you the low fuel level because it's the same type of notification. It's still called sensor value type of notification. And here we decide which type of sensor we want to control. Okay, we don't need to type the sensor name because there is only one fuel level sensor that we use. And we want to know when the fuel level is less than 9 gallons. That was my decision. And then I decided to choose the color for the pop-up notification and customize the text a little bit. Okay, then let's look how it's triggered. And here we see the demo 2 at 1:54 p.m. It reported the fuel level less than 9 gallons. It was exactly 8.92 gallons. That's how it works. Now the idling type of notification, very important information because I see that mistake occurs a lot. Max idle time allowed 5 minutes. You can set it up to 10. Doesn't matter, or any other amount of time, but sensor value should be activated. And you need to select engine ignition sensor type. And of course, you need to control the value 1. If you want, you can put here value 2, it doesn't matter. It all will tell that ignition is activated. Speed is 0, that means the unit is parked with ignition on. And that's 2 requirements to control the idling. Now you'll be fine. You can customize the text a little bit, and you'll be getting the idling over 5 minutes notifications. Here we go. This is a fresh one. It was reported at 1:39 near that location. The demo 1 reported idling over 5 minutes. So as you can see, everything works great. We didn't get fuel filling notification, but that's explainable. It doesn't happen that often. This is by now all I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much for your attention.